Welcome back, fellow jazz bums. Today we have some breaking news. Over the course of the week, it came out that Tone Poet is exploring the Capitol Records catalog. So as a group, we've been kind of chatting about it. It's been a topic on the Discord. We thought it'd be fun to jump on and talk about some of the titles that we would wish to see. And we have this on a good source. But before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe. We're going to link to the Jazz Bums Discord in the description below. And then let us know what you think about this. Let us know what titles that we've missed that you'd like to see. So yeah, with that, I'm going to kick it over to Felipe to get us started.
Hey, Mike, Chris, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Yeah, so today we have this breaking news, kind of interesting, we found. It's for Tone Poets, not 24. It's like going to be 25. So in a discussion forum, we had Joe Harley himself mentioning he would Tone Poets are exploring and actually have mastered, right? Already mastered some Capitol titles, which I think is interesting because so it's not a subsidiary label as a Transition or a Pacific Jazz or UA as smaller labels that Blue Note had acquired over time and were able to release or remaster, redo the catalog for a series like Tone Poets, for example. So this is Capitol, which is a big name, has some big titles, and I think it's nice that keeps the flow of the Tone Poets. We're very excited about this. Just a speculation here, but we're going to start chatting about it, dumping some ideas, and collecting feedback, which I think is the most important from whoever wants to give her some feedback.
I think it's interesting. I've got a bunch of well, not a bunch, probably got 40 titles on Capitol, and the label's really, I wouldn't say not necessarily hit or miss, but it's not like it's just full of war horses like Blue Note or or Prestige or whatever. There's a lot of, and I'm going to show some tonight. There's a lot of records that nobody wants to buy, right? Because they're $2 records, so it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what gems they pull out of the catalog for sure.
I think as a big label, they had to be like an umbrella, right? They have all sorts of stuff in there, really good things, really like more popular things that would kind of make some cash to finance the more like advanced music in a sense. They had the good resources, studios and everything. So I think it can be quite interesting, Chris. I think it's going to be let's see what they're going to choose and put out. What you guys think?
No, for sure. I mean, I think it's also similar to like Columbia, right? Like Columbia's got all kinds of music. They didn't even have a jazz. Well, neither one of them really had a jazz like imprint or series really. So, but I don't know if there's anything on there like the there's nothing on Capitol that I know of like the Miles Columbia stuff, right?
Yeah, but in a sense, I think it has a very important historical perspective, right? They have a huge catalog and many important artists, which I think we could start going through them.
They do have a Miles. They have Birth of the Cool.
The Birth of the Cool, yes.
And they don't have like a series of like Miles records like it did on Columbia.
Oh, right, yeah.
Something that would equal that kind of output, in my opinion, anyway.
So, what kind of Capitol artists would you guys be interested in seeing? That you have some what kind of stuff?
There are certain artists I think will not be included. So I don't anticipate any Sinatra being included. I believe that the estate has a connection with those materials, and I just don't think it's possible. But I think Tina Sinatra operates the estate, and she's kind of doing her own thing with UME. It would be amazing if that was the case, but I don't suspect that. There's also other vocalists like Peggy Lee and Nat King Cole. What do you guys think about like Nat King Cole's catalog? Could that potentially be something?
I think it could. However, we have recent audiophile releases, very good ones by Chad, right? So I think it's unlikely, especially given the fact that Tone Poets they're veering more towards unknown or American exploratory side, getting titles that need to be reissued and are like done and redone multiple times. It'll be interesting to see, especially the cutting 33, because 45s are great, but sometimes, some people would like to have 33s of those. But that's a possibility, which I don't think is going to be first or any priority there. I think Capital has a lot of Cannibal Others, right?
Yep,
Cannibal Others
a lot.
has a good run. Like this one, I was revisiting today. Where is it? This guy here, Cannibal Other Quintet. Why am I treated so bad? That's a good title.
Yeah,
It's not like a very traditional. It's more like a boogaloo kind of 60s, more groovy kind of record, but it's a live one. It's really good. Music is good. One thing I find about these titles, especially these early pressings, the quality of the vinyl is not that high level there, and you can tell by the mastering. There's a lot of stuff missing there. Sometimes the highs are too highs, the lows are not so good. So I think a Tom Poet presentation, given the fact that the tapes are going to be good, and given the fact that they're going to be in a good condition, I think we have get a lot more from these recordings and probably appreciate it even more, as we have been doing with the whole series so far.
just thinking about how vast some of these catalogs are, Joe, when he's dove into other record labels outside of Blue Note, it's usually one or two or three. Like this year, we got Transition. There's 3 titles. So I don't think we're going to see in 2025 more than 3. So if he's picking 3, he's going to be selective about which 3 they are. So I just wanted to kind of point out the number that we're anticipating. And that it might just be like 1 or 2.
I've got a bunch of Cannonball records. I've got this one too, Felipe, and then this one's actually pretty good. So this is Cannonball Adderley Quintet in person. Let me see if this is where it was recorded.
That's the one with Nancy Wilson, right? They have a studio record together.
Yeah, it's Nancy Wilson and Lou Rawls as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a good record too.
Yep.
I think I like Cannonball Riverside stuff better than these records, but
yeah, me too.
Those are some possibilities. I mean, a name that definitely is possible for the series.
And the players on those records, like I know Charles Lloyd is on a few of them, Nat Adderley is on a few, like Joe Zawinul's on those. They're all-star, lineups. So definitely potentially one of his titles. And I think there were about a dozen of them that he did.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. He had a long run there. And about so there's some really nice vocals. I was revisiting this one this week as well. The Peggy Lee live at Basin Street Club.
Oh, I love that.
This is phenomenal. I mean, this record is really well recorded. Her voice comes through so powerful, so good. And songs here are, a collection of like greatest hits, pretty much.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think I was just gonna say, if they put that out as an audiophile title, that could be, a huge, like demo record at shows type thing. Like that thing sounds great.
Yes. Her voice is terrific here. Yeah, but it lacks a better presentation. I think once you get like a Tom Poet kind of treatment, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I don't have that one. I'm going to show a couple more records. I think I leave records too. I don't have that one, but I really want that because it's like her in a club, right?
Yes. Oh, that record is great.
It's, very, very different than like a studio recording. This is just one of her records. It's good. I don't know if this would be. I mean, this is probably a $3 record.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this one is another good Peggy Lee record, but I would rather see that one you were showing, Felipe, for sure.
She has a title I think called Mink Jazz, which is like such a ridiculous cover and title.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the other thing is too, that's a small group with her on that Basin Street record.
On the live record,
yeah. I want that record. That'd be really cool.
It's definitely worth it.
Man, and I know there's like a dollar bin records pretty much, right?
Yeah. That's the thing. It's interesting, right? Like most Capitol records are dollar bin records. I mean, actually, so like those Cannonballs, though, I've seen those going for $10-15 now. Whereas like 2 years ago, they were like $5.
There is one title that goes for like multiple hundreds, which I'm sure.
Let's look at that.
Yeah, I just want to show this. I would bet that this is going to be one of the titles. So this is Blue Surge, right? It's Sergei Kaloff. And why can I scroll? Okay. Look at the lineup on this. It's a quartet with Sonny Clark, Philly Joe Jones, and Leroy Vinegar. So, obviously, like the reviews are great. Penguin says it should be a core collection.
Oh, yeah.
And this originals of this, we just were looking at this earlier. This is the US pressing. So it's pretty pricey. Median's 100. And if you deep dive into the ones that are available, VG Plus, it starts like in the 300s.
Yeah.
So it's a record that's pretty difficult to get in good condition. So I suspect this will be one of the titles he selects.
If they have that tape and it's in good shape, that would be
yeah, assuming that yes,
that would be a great pick. I would love to see that. I mean, I've got a bunch of. I'm not going to show all my Capital stuff because I did that on a live stream recently, but Ellington had a few records on Capital too. So this one's the dude plays Ellington. I wonder what it shows. Who's actually on this? It usually doesn't. That's the other thing. The Capital was a much more like to me at least a much more commercial.
Oh yeah.
Mainstream label than Blue Note or Prestige or any of those.
Yeah, they were huge. Yeah,
labels. They were huge, and so you don't really get the details all the time. Sometimes you do, but this is pretty typical. I've seen from Capitol Records is no lineups, not really deep liner notes or anything. There were records that were meant to just be played. I mean, by everyone basically. So
So that is a small group. It looks like it's a quintet. So Ellington on piano, Wendell Marshall bass, Butch Ballard drums. And then so it's a trio because there's another drum on some other tracks, and then on track 14 we also have congas. So it looks like it's a trio, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't listened to this in a long time, but I do remember liking it. That's why I kept it in my collection. What we saw, he had 3 or 4 records on Capitol, and that's about it.
Yeah,
he had.
And here's the Birth of the Cool.
Oh yeah.
This is the later pressing when they did those yellow labels.
Yeah.
So here, I think the great point is not getting titles available because they're not hard to find, but getting them sounding good, which I think is the most important. Especially Birth of the Cool. Sometimes I put that record, I feel like, man, it lacks so much. It could be so much better.
Agreed. And they recently released the complete Birth of the Cool. I think it was the original title with the outtakes, and Fremer totally trashed this. I think he said that they should have done it AAA, and that I guess he didn't like the sound of it. I didn't purchase it because it did seem like it was not getting great reviews. But I mentioned that because it has recently come out, and the packaging is really nicely done. So I don't know, if he would go back and put that out again.
Well, the other thing about that record though is it was recorded super early too.
Oh yeah.
So it made us not sound that great to begin with. I mean, I've never heard it. I haven't listened to that record because I've been wanting to, get a vinyl copy of it and listen to it. But so I don't know.
Yeah.
People that have, I mean, none of us have heard the record on vinyl, right?
Felipe has a copy.
Felipe's got the 2 for there, right? But you haven't heard an OG.
Yeah. No, it's a single one, so it's not much. But yeah, it's a record in 1949, 1950. So it's not like it's a very transition period, right, for the recording itself.
Yeah, and the reason why I think like Felipe and I and Chris don't have it, originals on like that teal or turquoise label they're usually in good condition. They're usually pretty expensive, so it's not an easy original record to get.
Right.
So yeah,
but it's got to be one of the bigger titles, right? I mean,
I mean, you got Miles Davis anywhere is going to sell.
Going back to Ellington for a minute, I've got that one. Me and Mike were looking before, and there's about 4 of them, but it's not.
All right. So for Ellington, according to his discography here, we have 2 titles in 53. So premiered by Ellington with this red cover. Let's see if that's how big that group is. So this is like a group with Clark Terry. You got Paul Gonsalves, Wendell Marshall. Again, that Butch Ballard, which was on that quartet you just showed, Chris.
So that's like his regular bigger band.
Yeah.
Just, cool.
And then you have the Duke plays Ellington. That's what you just showed. Yep. Dance to the Duke. I've
never seen that one.
Let's take a look at this. So it looks like a very similar group. Might be the exact same group. And what are they doing? They're doing like probably upbeat numbers. Not
Now, the interesting thing on a lot of this stuff that we're looking at, it is pretty early. I mean, not for Duke, it's not early, but I mean, it's early 50s, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, compared to like later 50s for some of his other work, like Columbia and such.
And then he has in 55, he has Ellington 55, and then Ellington Showcase.
Yeah, I've got that Ellington 55 somewhere in a box.
It's, let's see,
Mm-hmm.
It's a cool record.
Billy Strayhorn's on this one.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So there's potential to put out an Ellington. One of the other artists that I think I would put in the camp of high likelihood is Jimmy Jufrey. He has 2 titles on Capitol. I'll just show them quickly. This is the one that I think he would probably put out because this is a quartet. So it has Jack Sheldon, Ralph Pena, and then Artie Anton. It's a small group, and it's good. I was streaming it earlier today. It's very, very spacious, very like typical Jufrey from the little bit that I have in my collection. And he also did, I think this was his first album. This is a self-titled Jimmy Jufrey, but this is with a bigger group, and it's a West Coast group. So you got like Bud Shank, Shorty Rogers, Russ Freeman, Curtis Counts, Shelly Mann. So, big time West Coast. This one could potentially be it too. You might, but I think Jufrey probably got a hard look when he got access to those tapes.
Now, do you know if either one of those are expensive records of any at all, or are they?
I think that first Jufrey one I had in my collection, but it was pretty noisy, so I sold it. And I think you probably get a good copy for like $30 maybe. I haven't checked lately. I don't think it's particularly, but it's also on that like turquoise Capitol label, like the Birth of the Cool. So it's same time period, same series. And I think that's mono. Yeah, that has to be mono.
That makes sense. I mean, I think those would be cool. I've got a couple here I wanted to show and talk. Well, actually, I got not a bunch. I've got a few. I've got 3 records that I want to talk about that I think could be interesting potentials. So this one here is called Session at Riverside, and there's 2 of these records. The other one I'll show in a second, but these were really cool. These were kind of like jam sessions. It's got these bigger groups, and it's like guys like Irby Green and Coleman Hawkins and Milt Hinton, Ozzie Johnson, Charlie Shavers, some old school dudes. I don't know what year this came out, but this is a really good record. I love this record. And it's like I said, it's just kind of a jam session with all these guys.
That's really cool.
They play 6 tracks on it.
Nice.
But yeah, to me, this is one of my favorite Capitol records that I have so far. Yeah, I paid $8 for this, and it's like really, really nice. I mean, it looks brand new. So that one's cool. And then the kind of sister record to that one, which I think, I don't know, I might like it more. The cover's cooler. Is this Session at Midnight? So this one, again, it's on that, old school kind of label.
Is that Japanese pressing?
No, this is an OG, bro.
Oh, okay.
OG Capitol. So this one, let's see if it says the same folks. Benny Carter's on this one. Sweets Edison's on it. Jimmy Rouse. Shorty Chirac. I mean, a bunch of guys. Some of the guys I don't know, but like these are, this is very cool. But this one was like, supposedly recorded. It was a midnight session, according to the liner notes in 1955. So these are 2 cool ones. And then one more. But I don't think anybody really talks about this guy. So this record's pretty cool. Jonah Jones. This is Jonah Jones Quartet. He's a trumpet player. I don't know how many records he put out, but this again is a good jazz record on Capitol that I like. So that's those are just kind of 3 that I would be excited to see get just a wider audience share, if you know what I mean, so people know about them and listen to them. But again, none of these are expensive. Like you can find these records just randomly at any record store that has jazz at all. Do y'all have any other records you want to show, or any other thoughts about potential artists?
I didn't have much time to go through my Capitol stuff. I don't have many. It's not my main focus, but I was checking the titles, saw the catalog. I think there's potential there, and I think for the series itself is a good signal. It's like you're opening a new avenue now, going to a new label. So it shows that they probably can explore even more labels in the future.
Mhm.
And I think for us also is a kind of an assurance that the series is going to keep going strong. Which I think that's the most important part. We don't want something like this to just end or kind of slow down. I think the more the better. The more the better for us and for history, memory itself.
Mike, did you have other potentials to talk about?
The only other one that I think could be interesting is this title. It's a Hank Jones title, Talented Touch. It has a lot of songs on it, so I guess 6 songs aside. So I guess
when was this one recorded?
This was recorded 58.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
It's like 78 song lengths. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So a lot of these are, I guess, like earlier titles. I would assume, like Blue Surge and maybe this title were not done in the Capitol Tower, but it's got Ossie Johnson, Milt Hinton, Barry Galbraith, and then Hank Jones. So quartet.
I do want to talk about one other thing. There are a lot of really good records on Capitol that I don't think will have any chance of getting reissued ever. Because they're just not popular probably, and they're not expensive, and they're widely available. But I want to show a few of some kind of the stuff that you're not going to see and that nobody wants to see, but that I think are still kind of cool. Then you can get right. Like this is a Howard Roberts. He was a guitar player. It's Howard Roberts is a dirty guitar player. This is a really good record. A really good jazz guitar record. But again, I mean, have y'all seen this record like a billion times? And just like,
yeah.
I mean, it's like $1. But so I mean, if you want to check out these styles, you can get them for cheap. Another huge guy on Capitol, Sharing. He put out a shit ton of records on Capitol, and I've got probably 10 of them. I like George Shearing. For people who don't know, he was a British piano player, really talented guy. But he put out a lot of, it's not, I mean, kind of mood music almost. It's jazzy, but like, I just don't think that there's an audience for these kinds of records, really. So, but check them out. I mean, they're enjoyable for $1 or $2 or $3. Now, another guy that was huge on Capitol is Stan Kenton.
Yeah, and Julie Christie.
Yeah, and Julie Christie was part of his band originally, right? So I just don't know, man. Like, there's some really cool Kenton records, but they're just a million of them available still, right? Like this was just him and Christie, and this is a great record, but it's again like a $2 or $3 record. So to me, that's kind of the interesting point. I'm not usually that guy like, well, you can get an OG for cheaper because I don't usually care. But with Capitol, it's kind of more interesting just because there's so many copies of a lot of these records available, and they're so cheap still.
All right. So, any final thoughts?
That's great. We're getting Tone Poets for the next couple of years, and with label that has good music, but it needs a better presentation. I'm truly happy to see them.
Yeah, I think it's a positive step. I think exposing the Capitol team or catalog to this type of treatment is important, and maybe we'll get to see like a Sinatra down the line, not as a tone poet, but just like in the same style. Hopefully it gets it on Capitol's radar to think about reissuing titles like this, because well, I mean, I guess Chad has done like the Beach Boys, and there's other like pop rock stuff that has been done, but their jazz catalog I don't think really has been touched too much outside of like Nat King Cole, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So hopefully this helps open up those artists.
Yeah, for me, I mean, again, like y'all were saying, I think it'll be cool to see some what Joe picks out from a label that's really vast and varied.
So what would be your top title if you could pick one?
I like to say Bertha the Cool, honestly, because I like Bertha the Cool, but I never had a good version of it.
Chris?
Cool. I'm gonna pick that Surge Charloff record, Blue
Blue
Surge. Sure.
Surge.
Yeah.
All right. I think I'll pick the Blue Surge too. I think that one, I was streaming it today and it's so good. So I'm really hoping that's part of it. All right. Well, let us know what you think, what titles you want to see. What's your top title? Drop it in the comments. And we'll see you guys next time.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.